We have people from different places. Hello, Nikos from Greece. Hello, Edmila.
Hello, Slovak. Hello, everyone.
Great to see you all. We'll continue to be together. Kalimera, Nikos.
Kalimera.
Καλά είναι.
Όλα καλά.
Όλα
Everything
καλά.
okay.
Καλώς ορίστε. Let's go further on. Okay, we started this webinar some time ago already. Initiative for these webinars are made by some bad things that happened to all of us, but coronavirus that occupy the whole world, but we are trying to find our exit to the better things. And when something good is starting, no matter what initiative was for that, then we should keep it. So we will keep doing this webinar, maybe not so often because our real life has come back, and then we have to do our job regularly, but we will continue doing this good thing because at this time doing these webinars we met some beautiful people all around. We were able to share the knowledge and skills that could help us to make bigger success when we pass through the crisis. And maybe this crisis will help us to learn how to manage the other crises that could eventually happen, hopefully not, but we always have to be ready for whatever good or bad will come. So we will continue with these webinars. Today I choose the topic that usually is interesting to deal about when we start our business, and that is to think about the foundations of some business. But what often is happening at the beginning of some business, we are not taking care about the foundation. We just go on to something that we consider will be good for us, or we can do it good way and maybe to earn from it. But later on, when we start thinking and working on improvement of our business, particularly when something is happening as this crisis, and then we have to stop and rethink where we are. What are our foundations for our business? What is that we should change or improve as we will improve our life and business? And today we will speak about that. My guest is the guy that is dealing with real estate nearly 30 years. So his first years were very successful as he entered the business. And in the first year, he sold 45 properties in 1 year. As far as I know, this is a good number for any market. And with this rookie result from the first year, he continued doing the successful career, and after 5 years, he found out that when he was more and more often invited to speak and to learn the others how to improve their business, he passed to coaching business. And he's working on one of the most intensive market in the world, and that is Florida market. And his name is James, but not any James, not Bond, but Houghtaling. It was hard to pronounce for me at the first beginning, but James Houghtailing is my guest today. Hello, James.
Hello, hello. Nice to be here. Thank you, Slavisha.
Thank you for accepting my invitation and sharing your skills and experience, knowledge and coaching business with the international group of people that is here today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy getting to talk about some of these things that I've been able to help agents work on for, well, as you say, a long time. So I always enjoy the opportunity.
How important was thinking about foundations for you when you start this business?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I didn't know any differently. I was a senior in college when I first got my hands on a set of training tapes from Mike Ferry. Okay, so that was back in the day of cassette tapes, and so I started listening to this training series as a senior in college, and realized, you know, forget my degree, man. I am going into real estate sales, because this was an incredible thing that I was learning about. These agents that were earning incredible incomes, and the way that it was laid out, the way that it was taught was so simple, so straightforward. You know, it's not a complicated business in a lot of ways. So my foundation, in a sense, was laid down before I ever even got my license. Okay, before I even graduated college, I already knew exactly how I was going to run my business. I had all of my presentation scripts memorized. Anybody that I could get to let me do a presentation for them, I would go do a fake presentation. And
I didn't know that we have some similarities, because
Yeah.
in 2000 I was saying forget my PhD, because
right.
because I was in electrochemistry in a completely different way. But when you are in challenging situation, when something else is happening, it seems that real estate business is still here to welcome us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So
Okay, James, you are teaching mostly one-to-one coaching, and you are working also for one big organization in teaching, in a very influential organization in the United States, and that's Mike Ferry organization.
mhm.
It
Yep.
seems like Ferry is the name to succeed in the United States in coaching in real estate. Tom Ferry,
Yeah.
Mike Ferry.
Yeah. When I first met Mike, Tom is 3 or 4 years younger than me, I think, and he and his brother were Mike's main guys in the back of the room selling the products and signing up people for coaching. And I remember when Tom was just a young guy, and he's really done well for himself. He's built a very strong business in the coaching industry. So much different than his father, you know, much different message, much different style, but nonetheless very, very effective.
But fast learning is seems that it's very
Yeah.
important for fast succeeding.
Yes, indeed, it is. Learn at the feet of the master.
Okay, James, now we're listening you. I will mute myself and be here for any support. And now we're listening you.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, as you mentioned, Slavisha, we're going to talk today about a very general topic, a very basic topic in a lot of ways, but nevertheless a very important topic, and that is our foundation. If one of the things that we're never taught, at least here in the States, and I assume it's this way across the globe, that when you go to get your real estate license to practice, they don't necessarily teach you how to run a business. They teach you all the laws. They teach you what you can do, what you can't do, how to do the paperwork, how to do the contracts. But very rarely does a new agent come out of real estate school and have a knowledge of really running a business. And I think that's one of the mistakes that a lot of agents make, is that they don't see themselves as a business owner. Okay, but the reality is we are business owners, and our product, so to speak, our service that our business produces is our ability to bring buyers of property and sellers of property together. Okay, so when we talk about this idea of building a foundation, we're going to a very basic level in a lot of ways. But again, if you think about when a property is built, okay, if you're going to build a brand new home, what is the first thing that gets done? First thing that gets done is they put that foundation in place, okay? And they spend a lot of time on that foundation. They make sure it's level. They make sure it's solid, okay? And that it will support the structure that is going to go on top of that foundation. And for a lot of agents, they either A, don't have a foundation, or B, they don't have a foundation that is actually designed to support the business they're trying to build. Okay, and so we want to look today at what I would consider 3 ingredients that would make up the foundation of a good business. Okay, so if you look at concrete, okay, concrete is a very common material that's used for foundation. Okay, and there's certain ingredients that make up concrete. Well, if we look at the three ingredients of our business in real estate, there are one of them is our vision and our plan, or excuse me, our vision and our goals. Okay, that's one ingredient. The second ingredient in our foundation is our actual business plan. And then the third ingredient is our schedule. Okay, and we're going to look at all three of these things, but I just want to, if you're taking notes, that's great. If you have questions, obviously you can pop them in the chat box, or you can write them down, and we'll touch on those at the end. But those are the three things that really make up the foundation of our business. Okay, again, our vision or goals, whatever you want to call it, our plan, and the schedule. Okay, so let's start with the first thing I talked about, the vision. Okay, the goals that we have. So a couple of questions that I will throw out to you that I want you to think about. Okay, so number one, right now, as of today, how clearly can you describe the vision that you have for your business over the next 6 to 12 months, over the next couple of years, maybe the next 5 to 10 years? Okay, how much clarity do you have right now? If someone were to walk up to you and say, "Hey, I heard you're a real estate salesperson. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Excuse me. How clearly can you define that? Okay. The second question I would ask you is, how meaningful are the goals that you have? Okay, how meaningful are the goals? Because the reason I say it that way, it may sound like a silly question, but I've talked to a lot of agents over the years who have a goal that they will tell you, but the truth is that goal is more about sounding good to other people than it is a reality to them. Okay, so for example, I might ask a young guy who got into real estate a year or two ago. I say, "Hey, what's your goal this year?" "Oh man, I want to buy a Ferrari." That's his goal, right? Because that sounds good to tell people, "Hey, my goal is to buy a Ferrari." But the truth is, once that agent starts working out their business and they realize what is actually involved in selling enough homes to buy a Ferrari, they realize, oh, geez, maybe it doesn't mean that much to me after all. Maybe I'm not really truly motivated to buy a Ferrari. Okay, so the point is it's important, it's critical to have a goal, but more importantly, it has to be a goal that is meaningful to you. Okay, it has a purpose for you. And so therefore, everybody's goals are different. Some people are motivated by security. Okay, so they want to acquire properties. They want to create additional streams of cash flow. Some people are motivated by being debt-free. One of their main goals is to be debt-free. Some people are motivated by acquisition of stuff. They like to buy toys. They like to buy the latest and greatest and the biggest and the fanciest. So everybody, some people are motivated to provide for their children, right? Set up a college fund or university fund, whatever. So point is A, how clear are the goals? B, how meaningful are they really? And then the third question is, what is that key emotional win that you're going to experience when you reach your goals? Okay, and I use this illustration a lot. We can all relate to the Olympic Games. Okay, Olympic Games are a worldwide event. Basically, every country, I think, participates in them if they have athletes to field a team. But I want you to think for a moment about any Olympic athlete. Okay, what is their goal? Now, a lot of times, if I'm speaking to a group, I might ask this question, say, "Hey, what is an Olympic athlete's goal?" And sometimes a person will raise their hand and they'll say, "Well, it's to win." And I'll say, "Okay, great. What do they want to win?" "Well, they want to win a medal." "Okay, what medal do they want to win? Are they training to win the bronze? Is their life's desire to be the silver medalist?" Right? And the answer is no. They have one goal. Every Olympic athlete has one specific goal, and that is to win the gold medal. Okay, and when we talk about a vision, when we talk about a mental picture of what that looks like and what is the key emotional win on an emotional level, it's this picture in their head of standing on that podium at the award ceremony on the top level for the gold medalist with the flag of their country behind them at the highest level, their country's national anthem playing over the loudspeaker system, and the gold medal around their neck and a little tear going down their cheek. That's the mental picture that they have. And it's that mental picture, it's that desire, it's that drive that motivates them to do the things they do. I mean, think about it. Think about all the things that an Olympic hopeful gives up. Okay? They give up cookies. They give up sleep. They give up time with their families because they're traveling all over the world to various events and qualifying rounds and practice. I mean, they practice 2-3 times a day in some cases, right? So you would think to yourself as you watch this person, my gosh, what motivates them to get out of bed at 4 in the morning and go run 10 miles and then, come home and eat just eggs for breakfast. And then they're back in the gym at noon and they missed their little son's birthday party last weekend. What is it that motivates them? And it's that picture that I just gave you. They all have it. They picture it in their mind. Some of them have already won an Olympic medal, so they kind of know what it feels like. But so my question is, what is your gold medal? What is it? What is that mental picture that you have that is going to motivate you to do what you need to do in your business to achieve that goal? Okay. And again, it's not necessarily a gold medal, but what is it? Can you define it? Can you tell us about it? Does it change your behavior in any way? Because again, a goal that is not meaningful, a goal that really has no deep purpose is not going to cause you to change your behavior. Okay. And in some cases, that's one of the first things that has to change. For us to, it's been said that if you want a different result, right, you have to change your behavior. Okay. So as I work with agents, that's one of the first things we talk about is tell me about your goals. What are you trying to accomplish? Right. And why is that important to you? What is that going to mean for you? And then I always play devil's advocate, right? I'll say, so what happens if you don't reach the goal? You going to be okay with that? If they tell me they want to earn, $200,000, dollars, US dollars in income or whatever, I'll say, okay, well, what if you only earn 175? You going to be okay with that? Now, if they say, yeah, that would be okay, but I really want to earn 200, here's what I know. They're probably not going to do what it takes to earn 200 because they're okay with 175. Okay. If an Olympic athlete says, man, I would just love to win any medal. I don't care. If it's bronze, I'll be excited. Are they going to train as hard and as long and as focused as the person who says, I am in it for the gold medal and that's it? It's gold medal or bust. Okay. So that, again, when we look at the foundation and we start talking about building a business, if you don't have a clear, meaningful goal that motivates you, chances are you're not going to do what it takes, okay, to achieve whatever it is you say you want to achieve. All right, so let's look at the second ingredient that we talked about, and that is our plan. Okay, because see, a goal without a plan is just a dream. Okay, a lot of people have dreams. A lot of people think about, wow, man, one day, wouldn't it be great if I blank, fill in the blank, okay? But to really have a shot at achieving your goal, you must create a plan. And again, I'm sure a lot of us, we've all heard this before. This isn't like some brand new concept. But there's an old saying that says, nobody plans to fail, but they do often fail to plan, all right? And that plan can take a lot of forms. It can be a simple, I've seen some agents that have literally had a plan scratched out for them on a napkin over a dinner one night, talking to another agent. And they're like, my gosh, how do I do that? I'm a new agent, you've got all the success. What should I do? And the successful agent will write down half a dozen points on a napkin and hand it to them. And that's their plan, or at least it's the beginning of their plan, right? But the key is that we need a plan. We need to have an outline for what are the necessary steps that I have to take to achieve this goal that I say I have. What are the systems that I have to either add to my business or I have to improve in my existing business Okay, so these are all parts of our plan. So let me ask you I'm going to ask you a few questions again. If you want to write these down, great. A, do you have a plan? Okay, if someone were to ask you right now, hey, do you have a business plan for 2020? I don't think anybody wrote their plan for 2020 expecting what we've been dealt, right? When we wrote our plan in, say, December of last year or January 1st or whatever, most of us didn't know what was coming in terms of this corona. However, plans are meant in one sense to be adaptable. Okay, they're meant to be flexible. So do you have a current plan? Have you modified the plan that you wrote to allow for a productive second half of the year? Another question is, does the plan you have make sense? Okay, does the plan you have make sense? Because, I'll give you an example. Let's say that you are an agent who has a goal to sell 50 houses, 50 properties this year. And yet, based on your plan, you're only going to spend 1 hour a day, 3 days a week looking for new business. Okay, does that make sense? Is that a reasonable plan to sell 50 homes a year? And most of the time, the answer is going to be no, right? Unless you expect a ton of business to come to you that you don't have to do anything for. Okay, so you got to look at your plan and say, hey, you know what? Does this actually make sense? Okay, and this is another one of the things that I will so often work on with my individual coaching clients is I'll ask them, do you have a plan? If you do, send it to me. And let's break it down. Let's look at it. Let's make sure it makes sense. How detailed is your plan? Okay, does it really address all the different aspects of your business? Okay, because let's be honest, there's a lot of parts, moving parts that go into building a good, productive, profitable real estate business. Okay, so like I said, you look at all the different systems that are in your business. You have lead generation system, you have lead follow-up system, you have database system, interacting with people that you've done business with or people in your community that you know. You have a system for managing the new listings, the new properties that you begin to represent. So there's all these systems. And again, depending on your goal, depending on how serious you are about this, you need to have a detailed plan, not just 2 lines on a page that says, hey, I'm going to sell 50 homes and I'm going to work real hard to get there. That's not a business plan, okay? And then the third question, what is going to be the most difficult or biggest challenge that you're going to have to overcome to follow your plan? Okay, I think that's an important question to ask ourselves because, building a business, running a business, it's difficult, right? That's life. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be adversity. Champions, if we want to borrow that phrase, champions find a way to succeed in spite of adversity, not in the absence of adversity. Okay, I'll say that again. Champions find a way to succeed in spite of adversity, not in the absence of adversity. Okay, and so again, a good plan has to acknowledge that there's going to be challenges. There's going to be things that come along that you need to be prepared to work through. For some people, it might be a fear of prospecting. They might be afraid to reach out to people. For some agents, it might be that they're not real good managing their money. Okay, and so they have to do a better job of money management or whatever. So again, let's look at the plan for a moment, because again, the plan is the approach that you're going to take to achieve the goal you said you have. So your plan has to have all the numbers in it. Okay, if your goal is to, again, let's say it's $200,000 in income, you need to know how many homes you need to sell based on your average commission, your average compensation plan. You have to know how many homes it's going to take to earn that kind of income. Okay, and then you need to know, well, how many people do I need to speak to get an appointment with somebody where I can sit down and I can talk to them about listing their property or working with them as a purchaser. Okay, how many people do you have to speak to? You need to know your numbers, okay? And you also have to know how much time it's going to take. Okay, for an agent who wants to sell 50 homes in a year, it's going to require probably more time than an agent who wants to sell 15 homes in a year. All right, so you need to understand the ratios, and again, this is a very common thing that I will work with all of my clients on, is tracking their numbers. Okay, that again, you're running a business. Every business knows its numbers if it wants to be successful, right? They track everything as a business owner. Well, aren't you a business owner? So therefore, it's important, it's imperative, I would say, that you track your numbers, and that becomes a part of your business plan. Okay, and then, like I said, you got to break down all your systems. It needs to be detailed, and at the end of the day, what you have is a living, breathing, flexible document, okay, that you are now going to follow in pursuit of this goal that you've told us that you have. Okay, and that brings us to the third ingredient, which is our schedule. Okay, our schedule is nothing more than the blueprint for how we're going to lay out our action steps based on our business plan. Okay, it's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, if you're familiar with that phrase. Okay, it's all these action items in our business plan. Okay, I need to spend 2 hours a day lead generating. I need to spend an hour a day pursuing the leads that I already have. I need to spend an hour a day working on my sales skills. I need to do this, 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 and this. Okay, if I want to sell X number of homes a year, here's all the action items. The schedule is where those action items get implemented. Okay, because here's the thing, guys, we have to understand. Our time is our most valuable asset. Okay, time is a commodity. Time, you may have heard the phrase, time is money. And what that means is that time can be traded for compensation. Okay, and based on the actions that we take, that time is worth different amounts of money. Okay, if you have a secretary or an administrative person who types up your documents and they help you create marketing pieces, maybe they schedule appointments for you, that job, those hours are only worth a certain amount of money. Okay, if you are a brain surgeon in a giant hospital and you are responsible for saving people's lives and working on their brains, you invest the same hours that secretary invests, but I guarantee you your compensation is going to be dramatically higher, right? Because the actions we take, in a sense, determine the market value that time is worth. So when we talk about time management, the biggest thing I try to get agents or clients to understand is that most of the time it's a mindset issue. Okay, time management requires shifting our beliefs and our thinking about how we use our time. Okay, it's not about figuring out how to better use Google Calendar or a better day planner or some other time management tool. Okay, those are important, but until you accept the value of what your time is worth, you're probably not going to use your time any differently than you always have. But when the light bulb goes on and you realize, oh my gosh, if I spend 4 hours a day in these activities, I can earn $200,000 in income this year because that's what those activities are worth. Now, all of a sudden, you're thinking differently. You're not wasting so much time on social media. You're not, spending time talking with this person, that person all day long. You're not wasting time because you've recognized how precious time is. Okay, time is a commodity. So our schedule it's almost like an investment strategy. Okay, again, if you let's say you have some sum of money and you want to invest it so that you get the greatest return over time on your money, you're going to consult with a financial expert, and they're going to say, hey, let's put some of that money into bonds. Let's put some of that money into stocks. Let's invest a portion of it into precious metals. Let's put some over here into some other asset class, right? And the whole strategy there is, hey, you know what? In 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I want that initial amount to have grown into the biggest possible money pool as I can. Well, again, your schedule is going to dictate how you invest your time and what kind of return you get back at the end of the day, at the end of the week, month, and the year. Okay, so our schedule is actually a lot more important than we sometimes think it is. So a couple of questions, like I've asked you, okay, with these other ingredients. Number one, A, do you have a schedule? Okay, do you actually have some plan for your day, starting from when you wake up to when you go to bed? Okay, some agents have a schedule, they just never look at it. So it's kind of like some agents have a business plan, but it's been stuck in their drawer in the desk for the last 90 days and they've never even taken it out to look at it. Doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you don't use it. It's like a tool that hangs in the shed and looks pretty, but it has no use to you. So again, do you have a schedule? Do you stick to it? Next question, does the schedule you have support the plan and the goal? Okay, because again, an agent who is selling 50, 60, 80, 100 homes a year, chances are their daily routine, their daily schedule is going to look a lot different, and it needs to look a lot different than the agent who is selling 20 houses a year. Okay, so again, does it support the plan you have? And again, what are the emotional anchors that you've created to help yourself follow the schedule? Okay, and you might be thinking, well, James, what do you mean? What's an emotional anchor? Well, let's go back to our goal for a minute. Your goal is to earn X amount of dollars, okay? And you want to, and see here again, it's not just what you say you want. The key part of the vision and the goal is, why do you want it? Who cares whether you make that amount of money or not? Okay, what are you going to do with it if you had it? That's what's really important here, okay? So once you know why you want to earn it, you know how much it's going to take, you've created your plan, and it says, hey, you got to do all these things. Now you have a reason to follow your schedule. It's all connected. It's like a chain, okay? If the goal isn't there, if the goal is not meaningful, if there's no plan to achieve it, chances are you're not going to follow the schedule. So an emotional anchor is something that is important enough to you that causes you to make choices with your time, okay? We have to choose to follow our schedule because, let's be honest, we all have our devices. And those things are the biggest inhibitor to your schedule because it's a constant source of distraction. And it's so easy to get sucked into it. Okay. And again, as independent contractors, as salespeople, business people, we don't have a boss. We don't have a manager necessarily standing over us, telling us, hey, you better be in the office at this time, and you better put in this many hours, and you better report to me at the end of the week. I mean, we don't have that in real estate. So it's up to us to decide, hey, do I want to follow my schedule today? Or do I want to go play golf? Or do I want to go to the beach? Or do I want to lay home and watch TV or whatever? Okay, so you have to have these, what I call emotional anchors, that you say to yourself, hey, you know what, man, I am following my schedule today because I recognize what that means. I recognize what it's going to pay me down the road because I've stayed faithful to my schedule. Okay, so a lot of times agents will say, well, what should my schedule look like? What does a schedule look like for an agent who sells a lot of homes? Well, I will tell you, in fact, I just had a conversation this morning with a client. We were kind of going back and reminding her about what I call the core four. That's sort of the hub of your schedule, okay, the core four. And these are 4 activities that, regardless of your production level, regardless of your goals or your experience, these are things that kind of have to be there. They're sort of prerequisites, if you will, for building a good business. Number 1 is lead generation. Okay, there must be a time identified in your schedule, basically every day, when you proactively go out and look for new business. Okay, and there's lots of ways to do that. So that's one activity. The second of the core four would be following up on the leads that you already have. Okay, so people that you spoke to a month ago, people you spoke to 6 months ago, that you're just checking back with and you're finding out, hey, are they ready to do something? That's an essential part of your schedule. Must be there. Thirdly is what I call mindset. Okay, that's just a very general collective term, but it basically means working on this. Okay, we were talking a little bit ago about my mentor, Mike Ferry. Okay, and I can remember him many years, 25, 30 years ago, saying 90% of your success in this business is mindset. Okay, and I remember when I first heard that, I always thought, okay, well, basically that just means you got to stay positive, right? You got to be upbeat and enthusiastic, and if you can do that, you know, you're going to succeed. And what I've realized over the years is that it's far more than that. It's about the ability to overcome the adversity, the challenges, the difficulties, the disappointments, all the things that you are going to have and you're going to experience in this business. Okay, it's that mental toughness to work through those things and get back on track, right? Because all those things that I just mentioned, the disappointments, frustration, discouragement, failure, whatever you want to call it, they tend to pull us off of our plan. They get us into a mental place where we can't focus, we're upset, but we don't feel like doing what we're supposed to do. And you can choose to stay there in that place if you want, but that just means day after day after day after day, you're not being productive. Okay, it's essentially, like I said, you're a business owner, right? So let's imagine you owned a cafe right in downtown of whatever city or town you live in. You had a big cafe, and day after day after day, the door was closed and the close sign was in the window. That's what happens to our real estate business when we allow all those mental, emotional challenges to derail us. So when I heard that all those years ago, that 90% of your success is mindset, it isn't just about being a positive person. It's about developing the mental strength to get through the things that you are going to face. Okay, and so to do that, you got to work on it. Your mindset is like a muscle. Okay, it's like physically going to the gym, or it's like feeding our bodies, right? We feed our bodies several times a day. Some of us feed them too much sometimes, right? But our bodies require food, and so do our minds. Okay, positive food. So books, great books, watching great interviews like these that Slavisha puts on, watching people that are motivated, you know, Tony Robbins and some of these people, Les Brown, there's all kinds of motivators out there. Writing out your goals, doing journaling and affirmations. These are all examples of activities that help feed your mind, put positive things in here, and keep you mentally strong. That is a must. That's got to be a part of your day. Okay? Because if not, what happens if you don't eat for 2 or 3 days? You get weak, you get tired, you have no energy. Same thing. If you don't feed your mind, you get in a negative place and you stay there. Okay? So then that's 3 of the core 4, right? Lead gen, lead follow-up, mindset. The 4th one is working on your skills as a salesperson and a business owner. That's an activity, that's a time block that you have to invest. Okay? Let's go back to the analogy of the Olympic athlete. If they don't practice their skills, what chance do they have of making the team, let alone winning the gold? Okay? They practice all the time. In fact, typically, when you look at the gold medal earners and those elite level athletes, they practice more than the others. And you're thinking, man, these guys are so good. These ladies are so good. Why do they practice? Well, that's why they're so good, because they practice so much. Okay? So you need to ask yourself, well, what are those sales skills and business skills that I need to be practicing on a daily basis? Okay? So again, as I work with my clients, that's part of what we do, is we lay out a practice schedule. And we say, okay, so this week you're going to work on calling this group of people and practicing how that conversation goes. Then we're going to work on calling this group of people over here. Then we're going to work on presentation skills, right? So that you can communicate better, you can be more compelling, and that's a skill that we have to work on, is the ability to communicate and present. So those are the 4 things that sort of make up the hub of your schedule, okay? And then in addition, of course, we have all the other things: going on appointments, meeting with clients, negotiating contracts, attending inspections or whatever, researching the market. I mean, there's all kinds of activities. Paperwork, right? If we don't have an assistant, we have time that we have to block out to do all of our paperwork. And so again, your schedule needs to be productive. It needs to support the goal that you have and the plan that you have, and you got to follow it. Okay, you must adhere to the schedule, because again, think of it as your investment strategy. Okay, you want to retire with such amount of money, you got to stay on the plan. Okay, and there's ups and downs in the market and this and that, but if you stay to the plan, most of the time you come out okay. All right. So again, when we look at foundation, we look at that underlying layer of our business that then we start to build all of the systems on of our business. Those are the 3 things that that make up your foundation: your vision, your plan, and your schedule. Okay, so Slavisha, I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but
No, we're good. We're enjoying. So maybe you are hypnotized us a little bit, listening and trying to get as much as you give to this. And it's very interesting that when you speak about foundations, you put all the things that are not skills, that are not even money is there. So the foundation that are all connected with the things that I suppose all of us have. And that is to think.
Yeah.
The mindset.
That's right. It's where it all starts. It's where it all starts.
When you put a goal, allow me not to agree with you that all the sportsmen that are going to Olympics are going to with one goal, with gold medal. I think I would not agree with you.
Okay.
Because I have heard many of them that are going with a goal just to enjoy participating.
They might, yeah. There may be
but
some.
I understood from your story that if they put the goal to be a gold medal, then they will have to make a schedule to work for gold medal, to do everything to get a gold medal. But those that are not having that goal, I suppose they are having, okay, I can lay back.
That's right. Yeah, they can enjoy the experience. And you're right, because there are people who get into real estate who they're not trying to make a fortune. They just want to enjoy looking at properties. They want to enjoy, going out with clients and it's more of a fun hobby / business. It's not, they don't have to accomplish maybe everything that somebody else wants to accomplish. So you're right. There are different levels of participation, I guess.
I'm trying to emphasize that this goal is managing what the other things we do.
Yeah.
If we set the goal to be gold medal, there will be not a lot of time for something else.
That's right.
We have to be dedicated to this. And then again, in this first stage, this is a vision. It sounds most blurry of all the things to clear the vision.
Yeah.
Do you suggest to the people to enter the job? As I understood, many of the people enter the job without having a clear vision.
Right. That's right. And, life has a way of muddying the waters a lot, right? And what I mean by that is you might start off on a Monday, right, with a pretty good idea what you want to do this week. And then life happens. This happens, that happens. And it's like wax paper. If you know what I mean, it's like a opaque. or translucent, I guess is the better. You can sort of see light through it, but you can't see clearly. And it's like these layers get built up as you have things happening, and suddenly you've kind of lost sight of the goal. And so a lot of times you have to go back. And that's why that mindset time every day is so important, to get reconnected to your goal, to remind yourself, hey, this is what I said I wanted. And, you know, quite frankly, for any of us, you know, when you have a family, those family members need to be a part of that conversation about the goal, because most of the time the goal involves not just yourself, it involves your spouse, it involves your children, it may involve other things. And so now you almost have, it's not just like you're working for yourself, you're working for these things that you want to bless your family with as you grow your business. So that makes the goal even more exciting.
Yeah, and if we would like, if I could say what I understood from your story, if we would like to have more in our schedule, to have more time for our hobby, for our family, for whatever, then we have to think more about our goals.
That's right.
And then to manage our schedule according to that.
That's right.
But then again, can you tell me what are your experiences and suggestions to people that very often, I suppose, very often you hear about that? How can I plan? You told as well that is anybody planned this situation last year? What to do when the things are happening that you didn't plan, and how to plan on happen some things that are not expectable?
Yeah, yeah. In other words, you have to innovate, right? You have to alter the plan. You have to modify the approach. And I'll give you, an example here with a lot of my clients, in the States and even in Canada and elsewhere. A big part of their lead generation involved going out, knocking on people's doors. Okay, going out into a neighborhood and just talking to all the people. Hey, how you doing? I sell homes here, just looking for more people I can help. Do you know anybody that wants to buy or sell property? Well, guess what? You can't do that now. You haven't been able to do that for 90 days. So that represented for a lot of agents, that was a big part of their lead generation. So they had to shift to going back to the phones, use social media, mailings. They had to alter their approach to get in front of their potential customers because they couldn't do it in the preferred method anymore. Okay, so
just to keep the goal, but to change the way to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the old. It's like you got the wall that you have to climb over, but then if they suddenly grease the wall and you can't climb up it, now you got to figure out, okay, how do I dig under it? Okay, and if it's now a concrete ground and your shovel isn't going to, now I got to figure out, how do I go around the wall the other side? So we have to be creative. We have to be willing to, again, allow our minds to think about solutions. Okay, I've got this problem now. This is here. It's a reality. How do I succeed in spite of? And that's, it's funny you mentioned this now, because this question comes to mind. It's how can I? Okay, those three words, how can I? And then you fill in the blank. Okay, and what that does is when you present that question over and over to your mind, you give it the authority to come up with solutions. Okay, now a lot of times your mind will come up with a solution and you realize, that's silly, you throw that out, that doesn't even make sense. But you just let your mind go, let it just come up with stuff and write it down, journal it, and maybe you come up with 10 things and you cross out 8 of them because you realize they're not right, but you've got 2 things that you say, hey, you know what, this could be it. This could be the way that I'm going to try to succeed in spite of all this stuff that's going on right now. Okay.
So I suppose you will answer to those people that say I cannot do that are against planning because all the time something is happening that you cannot follow the plan. You have to have the plan, but you have to stop time to time and whatever something is happening, and then to replan it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, remember one of the questions I said is your plan realistic? Okay. again, had a conversation this morning with a client. She has two younger children who are home. They've been home for several months. She can't follow the same plan and schedule that we put in place back in February or January, because now it's 7 years old, 9 years old, interrupting, right? Excuse me. So her plan, her schedule has to be altered. So for example, today I said to her, or I asked her, I said, is there anybody that you can think of that can help you even a few times during the week with your kids, just for a few hours, when you can then make some phone calls or whatever? And she said, yeah, it's funny you say that, because my husband and I spoke with these neighbors down the street from us who also have two younger kids, and we decided to help each other. So a couple days a week, they'll send their kids there. A couple days a week, the kids will come there. So that was one of the ways that she modified the plan to fit the reality of her life. Because, or a person that's single, they're not married, they have no kids, they've got nothing else to do but work their business. So their schedule is going to look a lot different than that person that has family, has young kids, et cetera, et cetera. So you're right. You have to decide for you, based on your reality, your life, what is the schedule that's going to make sense, and what is the plan that's going to make sense.
Yeah, but we could tell to the people that don't feel bad if your plan fail, but just stop and then rethink it. And they say, aha, okay, it's not bad to do planning, but the bad things happened, and maybe it was not realistic. Something's changed in the environment, whatever. Then just stop and reschedule it, because now we are supposed to be smarter than yesterday.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe we will
Supposedly,
do it better.
right? Yeah.
It's support for rescheduling.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
then yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, most of the time what you find is that the most successful people are the people who have failed the most often. They've tried something many times and it didn't work, or it got derailed, or something happened. But it's that, again, that inner drive, that motivation, that vision that is so compelling that it allows them to push through and not just get discouraged and give up and say, that's not going to work, it's not for me. Instead, they say, no, I am committed to achieving this. I just have to keep trying. I have to keep modifying. Okay, that's the.
If Rocky would say it's not if I hit him well to knock him down, but to keep having the punches again and again and staying on the feet.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay, before the people were teaching us to be more successful, doing more and doing more and doing more, working more. In this fast and crazy time, it seems like there is no stop to working more. Is it the way to success or not? Something else?
No. The solution to that is what we call leverage. Okay. In other words, it's expanding your organization, because you're only, as one person, you're only capable of doing so much. Okay. You can only work so many hours. You can only work so many days. And even though you might be able to work 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's not healthy. You will burn out at some point, okay? So the solution is leverage. You have to plan in advance and know when you get to a certain benchmark in your business that it's time to bring on help. It's time to bring on an administrative person. It's time to bring on an additional salesperson to maybe help you qualify your leads or take some of your excess, your overflow. Okay, so that's one of the biggest, again, one of the biggest things that I work with my clients on is, as they grow through the production curve, of how do you add on the next person? How do you find them, hire them, train them, integrate them into your business? So yeah, you can't just keep working more. You've got to learn how to, And again, as your organization, well, here's the thing. We build a foundation. Any particular foundation is only designed to support a structure that is so big. Okay? If you want a bigger structure on that foundation, you have to widen the foundation and you have to deepen the foundation. Okay? So if you got a 3-story building on this foundation and you suddenly want to add 5 more stories, okay, you got to change the foundation to support that. And that's by leverage. As we add on members of our team, it broadens and deepens our foundation.
So if somebody would think about achieving success, it doesn't have to think about dying of working.
Right.
But better to thinking more, and then to do to plan this these foundations and
Right.
the basics for his success.
That's right. Yeah. A couple of good books. The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. That's an older book, but it's in fact, E-Myth Revisited came out several years later. That talks about this whole thing, entrepreneur. And another one is called The 4-Hour Work Week. It's a fun little read. And it just, again, it expands on this idea of leveraging tasks, leveraging business to people that you affiliate with or hire so that you can keep more of your time free. Okay.
So as much you pay attention to thinking and planning and clarifying the things like vision and goal, business plan, and scheduling, out of that scheduling your time, then it seems you have to think more,
Yeah.
and not to work more.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. Which is why that mindset time that we talk about, core 4, that's why that's so important. Because a lot of times that mindset time starts to become greater and greater. And, you know, you have to journal, you have to allow your mind to come up with solutions to the challenges that you're facing as you need to grow. And again, that gets so overlooked by so many agents because they think, oh, geez, I got to be out on all these appointments and I got all this to do. They're so busy working in their business, they never take time to work on their business. Okay.
If somebody would have any question, he can raise a hand or put a question in the chat box, and while James is here, we will try to get answer for that. And again, James, you were having your personal experience with working with a mentor, and afterward, now you are the mentor to many people. Tell me, does mentoring and coaching helping you really to increase the achievement of success or your goals, etc.?
Is being a mentor helping me achieve that? Is that what you're asking?
No, to have a mentor. You were having a mentor while you were working with Mike, if I understood well, with Mike Ferry. You were working in some previous stage of your career. Yep. And you have you remember how much is this meaning for your increasing pace of success, you know?
Yep.
And now you are teaching the others. So I'm asking about, does having a mentor and coach for personal or for team helping really to achieve to be more successful? Simply said.
Yeah. The easy short answer is absolutely yes, because we don't know it all, and you know, we thrive best in a community, and you know, that's part of the growth process as a person as well as a business person, is to benefit from the experience or from the knowledge, from the encouragement of somebody else that has sort of partnered with you and has some sort of a stake in your success. Okay, so yeah, that role or that person of a mentor, of a coach, biggest purpose really is, in a sense, to impart everything you need to one day take their place. And in some ways, I suppose that's kind of what I've been able to do, is now be that, like you said, be that mentor to others and kind of impart all that stuff that I learned and I have taken into my experience, and I've worked it out, and mistakes I've made, and things that I found that work really well, and hand that off. And then those people down the road will move into that role as well of being a mentor or a coach or whatever.
So you recognize the mistakes you were making at the beginning, that the other people are making the same.
Yeah, yeah. And it's easier to see them and help them because you've learned from it. Okay. You know, that's another one of those common things that you hear now, is that you don't have success and failure, you have success and learning. You know, our goal is to learn from failures, and you know, frankly, we have a lot more of those most of the time than we have our successes. But again, then you have that opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I tried that. I thought the same thing that you did, but here's what I found. Here's what I experienced when I did that. Now it's up to that person to decide, are they going to listen to you, or are they, you know, I'll figure it out. And then they go make the same mistake, right? And then, you know, they learn, they realize, so.
Okay, there are many people telling that, for example, particularly for our job, that is not, you know, to put one thing from one place to another and then everybody can learn it. But our job is pretty much creative job. So it's definitely not if you read some book or you learn something, I don't know how the people are doing that job. It doesn't mean definitely that you will be successful in real estate. So some people say you have to be born for, is it true that you have to be born for being a good salesperson, or you can learn it?
It helps if you have certain natural personality traits. Okay. There are some personality profiles that are a little more conducive, right, to being a good salesperson. But it is a lot of it is a skill. For example, one of the most important parts of being a successful salesperson is the ability to ask good questions. Okay, and that's a skill. And there's a lot of great books.
That's something that the people can learn to do.
Absolutely. And that's one of a very common assignment, or a very common area that I will focus on with my clients is helping them or teaching them how to ask better questions, to communicate in a question-based format versus you know, just talking. Okay, so that by far is, I think, the biggest, that and being able to listen. They kind of go hand in hand. Doesn't do any good to ask great questions if you don't bother to listen to the answers, right? But so being an active listener is the the partner, if you will, of asking good questions. And those are the two biggest things to becoming a good salesperson.
To be able to do a question and to listen to the answer.
Right. And then know where that answer should lead you. You know, now it leads me to this next question. It leads me to this over here. So being a naturally enthusiastic person, chatty person, that can help. I mean, you know, we have to learn to engage in dialogue with people. But there's a lot of people who are very enthusiastic, very talkative, but that's all they do is talk. They don't slow down and ask questions. So
that's not enough. That's not enough to be a real estate agent if you are talkable and if you are somebody
right.
that is communicating well, but if don't learn some other things, then you cannot do the job with that, only that.
That's right. That's right. At least not to the level that you know, depending on how far you want to go, right? Being naturally enthusiastic and chatty will take you a little way, but if you want to go further, then you have to really master more of those communication skills of questions and listening and all of that. Yeah.
Okay, and
Lisa.
there's one question. There's one question that is very often happening with the agents. I was having the agents that don't sell first month, don't sell second month, then they lose the motivation to do that. It's not a good job, etc.
Yeah.
How you manage? And again, if it is happened later on in the career that you stop selling for 1 month, for 2 months, then you ask yourself, well, what am I gonna do? Can I continue living out of this job? What you tell to the people that are either don't have enough motivation or are scaring how to do the job without selling, or at some point in their career it stopped for 1 month or 2, and then asking themselves, what am I gonna do now? This is one of the most important questions, how to manage it, because we lose the agents if they lose the motivation and they say, okay, this is not a job, but still there are so many people doing that job successfully.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a series of questions. You know, it's to ask that person, you know, tell me again, think back 3 months, 6 months, a year ago when you were first getting into real estate. What was it about real estate that most excited you, right? You got to take them back in time and ask them, hey, what was your motivation? What was it about this business that just made you get all excited and want to succeed at it? So you bring them back, you try to get them thinking again about where, you put them back in that place mentally where they were 6 months or a year or whatever. And then, you know, do you believe it's still possible to succeed? Are other agents selling homes? Are other agents making income? And if so, well, then what do you think they might be doing that you're not doing? Where along the way do you feel like the plan fell apart? If you could go back 6 months ago and start over, what would you do differently to try to avoid being in this place right now? So again, it's tons of questions to try to get them thinking about where were they? Can they reconnect with that place again? And review, you know, be honest with themselves. What should I maybe or could I have done differently? And am I still as excited about succeeding in real estate as I was 6 months ago? Can I get my fire back? Can I get back to that place and legitimately give it another chance? And some people will respond to that and they'll say, okay, I'm going to dig deep. I'm going to push through. I'm going to stay excited and change my strategy. And then some people may say, yeah, you know what? Now I really know what's required to be successful in this. And I've realized I had a different conception. I'm not prepared to do what it is I have to do now that I really understand what I have to do. And that happens too.
Okay, James. We are about to finish this webinar, and I would ask you now to give some suggestion. We were passing through one period that is very specific for the whole world. We were at lockdown and stopped business and many things in the world. What would you suggest regarding real estate industry that to the people that are doing this? Now when we are coming back to normal life?
Yeah. Well, I think biggest thing is saying, kind of like what we were just saying a minute ago, go back to where you were in January, at the start of the year, and reconnect with those hopes, those dreams, those desires for your business, and evaluate and be honest with yourself. Do I still believe it's possible? I think that's one of the other biggest concepts that I've tried to talk to my clients about over the last 2 or 3 months is belief. Do they still believe that success is possible? It may be a different level of success. It may look a little bit different, but is success still possible? And especially back in the month of April and late April, early May, one of the things I think every one of my clients do is I had them go into the MLS, like we talked about, and look up all of the homes that were listed and all of the new sales, all the new properties that went under contract from late March to early May. Because what I wanted them to see is that business was happening. Okay. Was it the same amount of business that you would normally expect this time of year? No. But there was still business happening. There were still people out there who needed what we do. They needed to sell property. They needed to buy property. So when you at least start from that point right there and you believe that it's possible, it is possible to find somebody who wants to sell or wants to buy, that is that first spark that can kind of get the engine going again. And you begin from that point, because if you don't even believe it's possible, you're dead in the water right there. You're not going to even attempt to try to get back into business and try to find something, because you don't have any belief that it's even possible. So,
So it's
I think those couple things.
It's a good point here to stop and rethink all of these things, and then to understand that this crisis is not like some before crisis when the business really stops from the other reasons. This is just, as many people say, freezed. And now when we pass through this, we have to rethink all our foundations and vision, goal, business plan, reschedule it, and then to go straight to win.
Right. Start over, in a sense, just kind of go back and restart your year. There are people out there who need what we do. Okay. In every market, every country, there are people who need what we do. They need to buy.
Everybody needs home. Everybody needs home.
That's right. So our job is to find them. So again, do we have to be a little creative? Do we have to do things maybe a little bit differently than we would have otherwise? Possibly. But again, if your goal is meaningful, as long as you still want to achieve for yourself, for your family, for your future, if you still want those things, that's the spark. That's the motivation that causes you then to create the new plan, follow the schedule, and get back into motion. I mean, at some point, it just comes down to, we got to get back to work. We got to get back to doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Okay. And last question, when we were speaking about the topics to do today, you told me that you will continue with another webinar that is having very important content to match this what we did today. Can you tell us about that, and after we will schedule it as well?
Okay. Yeah, because what we were talking about, I think, was we've got the foundation now. So what do we put on it, right? What is the structure? What does the business look like? And we sort of touched on a few things today with the major systems. So if you imagine 4 pillars, 4 corners on that foundation, right? So we can talk about specific lead generation strategies. How do you go find customers? What do you say to them? Who are you looking for? Again, follow-up systems and strategies, that's part of it. Okay, once we have the foundation, we need those things. So that would be sort of the part 2 of this conversation, is to say, okay, great, we've got this nice foundation, and it's very clear. We've got a plan, we've got a schedule. Now we're ready to go to work. What do we do? How do we go about growing our incomes, growing our business? And that would be the next level, I guess, right?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now you heard this was volume 1 of the speaking with James Houghtailing, and we will have volume 2, and James and we will schedule the volume 2 of this webinar, and then we will wait for you again.
Okay, yeah.
I wish to everybody all the best. Thank you for participating today. Thank you, James, for being with us here. And
you're very welcome.
I will announce that soon, in the beginning of June, we will have a webinar where my guest will be number one life coach from Australia. So we will have to think about many things connected with what James told us today. We have to think how to succeed.
Right.
Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay active.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. I appreciate you being here, and definitely look forward to talking with all of you again in the near future for sure.
And
Thank
I
you, James.
hope,
Thank you,
some-
Slavisha.
Thank
Yes.
you. Be safe.
You're very welcome.
Good day.
Thank you very much.
Take
Okay,
care.
everybody. Bye-bye for
Bye-bye.
now.
Best.